Welcome to another edition of the Gridiron Report. I'm Manny, Navarro, joined of course by Herald High School sports writer Fernandez. You can see that we're inside Coach Cogdale's office here at Miramar High School. Dade, the Miramar Patriots, unbeaten, big matchup this week against Flanagan. But before we get to that and our picks later, let's talk about last week's action. Obviously a lot of big games. Booker T. Washington got us scared.
Yeah, they did. I mean, it was really, we were on the sidelines scared for them. We were like, this is the Northwestern team that the Bulls were hoping to be. You know, the offense was moving the ball well. The defense was playing well. Mike Smith had an unbelievable game.
He showed you why he's going to UM.
Yeah, he definitely did. I mean, the Canes got a good one in him. I mean, for sure. I mean, they were putting pressure on Treon Harris the whole game. Booker T was still able to run the football, but Northwestern kind of bend, not breaking. You know, every time Booker T would get into the red zone, they'd create some kind of havoc, whether it was a sack, a big tackle for loss, something. Booker T ended up surviving, mostly because of that running game and because Treon Harris made a few plays late in the game, Crondis Larry with a lot of rushing yards, but I think it was more a case of seeing Northwestern finally put something together than it was Booker T. I know a lot of people took to Twitter after the game wondering how good Booker T really is, and I'm like, I have to remind these people,
Northwestern still has talent.
Yeah, let's not forget the 6 weeks of what Booker T's done so far.
Right.
Northwestern does have the talent, and you know, I think this shows even if they were to lose this coming week, they have another doozy against Central. But they have to keep going, have to keep this going to have any kind of chance to recover and get back into the playoff hunt.
All right, speaking of a team that needs to recover, the Jackson Generals, 3 losses now.
Yeah.
Lose to South Dade 28-14 last week. Dre, what does this say about South Dade? I know what it says about Jackson. They've obviously got a big game this week, but what does this say about South Dade?
I think it says South Dade's a contender. I mean, we said this season that they were very improved. Their offense has a lot of firepower. I was very impressed with Khalil Render, their quarterback. He has the height, the skill, you know, the strong arm. He had some good throws in that game. They have some quality receivers on that team: Tyree Brady, CJ Wharton. And a very good running back. Johnny Hankins has been a very good running back in Dade County, but I think he's really having his breakout year this year behind that offensive line. And then you look at the defensive side of the ball; they're still improving. They don't shut you completely down, but they make a lot of plays. They force turnovers, and I think it's a quality win for you. You know, I remember at the beginning of the year we had our doubts: can South Dade compete against the North End? I think this answered some of those questions the way they've had a couple quality victories and this one as well.
Oh, maybe the biggest challenger to this Miramar
right
football
here, that's
team.
for sure.
That's right, on the way to state. All right, Killian knocks off previously unbeaten Coral Gables last week. Big win for the Cougars, who still have some outside hopes of reaching the playoffs.
Yeah, I called Northwestern a recovery team. This is the big recovery team right here. I mean, Killian, we said at the beginning of the year, even though they lost 22 seniors, they were still going to have a chance. You know, and you know, Corey Johnson and those guys do such a great job. I mean, obstacle after obstacle. I mean, you talk about the graduation of all those kids, having to replace them with new leaders on the field. Then they lose Jaquan Johnson for a few weeks. That sets them back. They lose Matthew Colominas, one of their best defensive linemen. That sets them back. But you look at them right now, after that kind of a victory, they've got South Dade coming up. If they can somehow beat the Bucks, they're right back in it. Obviously, it's going to be a tough order, but I wouldn't put anything past Killian.
Of course, we stay in that district. Coral Reef knocked another team out of the unbeaten ranks. That, of course, being North Miami. Close game, 17-16. Dre, Reef is hanging in that district race.
Yes, they are. I mean, they're in the spot right now that Killian wishes it could have been had they pulled off that game a couple weeks ago. But the Barracudas, you know, what can you say? They do a great job. You knew this year they were going to have the veterans to put a little bit of a run together and challenge South Dade in the district. And their 2 most important games are still coming up. They still have to play South Dade. You know, they have some big ones coming up to close out that district and cement that playoff spot. We'll see if they can do it.
All right, speaking of sending a message, how about American Heritage last week putting up 60 against Jacksonville Bulls?
Yeah.
I know Bulls is down, but that's still 60 points.
No.
The offense finally broke through.
Even though it's not a typical Bulls team completely, it's not like Bulls has dropped dramatically. That is still a statement game by this team, and their statements seem to be getting louder and louder as the weeks go on. First it was Mainland, then it was the big win over Jackson. Here comes this victory right now, and Heritage is on a roll. And to me, outside of, you know, unless Jackson makes a major turn or Givens, you know, you've got Tallahassee Godby waiting up there, but right now Heritage looks very good to make a run finally for the Class 5A championship.
Great job by Coach Mike Rugg, former Hurricane. All right, last but not least, how about Westminster Christian? They
Yeah.
go up, knock off an unbeaten Gulliver team. Speaking of the unbeaten's falling this week.
Yeah.
Big win for the Warriors there. They went 27-21, come back to win that game.
Absolutely a big win. I mean, you look at early in the season, they had that loss to Champagnat that set them back a little bit. But little by little, they've gained some momentum. I mean, we were wondering because of the fact that they hadn't really been pushed too much, other than maybe the one game against Chaminade. They hadn't really had a game to really get up for. This one they definitely did. Showed a lot to come back with that high-powered offense with Hunter Boyette to be able to come back and take a victory like this. Shows you that in a region that's not as tough as in years past, maybe they can make a run to the Citrus Bowl themselves.
Well, we'll see what happens in the next coming weeks. This is a big week for district games.
Yep.
We'll be back with our picks.